Hi guys, welcome to the next video. This video will be on navigating the course. So basically I'm making this video in response to Kylie in one of my classes. She and I have been talking back and forth, and so we decided that I would make a video as though I were a new student entering this online course. So basically I'm kind of navigating in that way, and I'll show you what I would do, or what you can do as a new student for those of you that are feeling overwhelmed and don't know where to start. So the way that the modules are set up is right now we are on Unit 1, Module 1. So there's 4 modules. We're on the first one, which is short story. So if you've seen any of the other videos, it mentions Unit 1, Module 1, and that's short story. And so that's your first module. The way that the module is set up has a linear order, so you can do those in that order, but you don't have to. You can actually jump around if it's better for you. Although it's made in a certain order so that you can kind of go from one thing to the next. But again, it's up to you how you choose to navigate the module. You don't have to complete certain things before moving on to the next thing. So I'm just going to show you here. I am on the home page for my CRN 56150. I'm just right here on the home page. This is where all your information will be. I'm just going to scroll down. Remember, the key to getting all the information that you need is scrolling down. You always want to keep scrolling down. So here's the welcome. There are 2 videos that I made welcoming you to the course. I'm kind of going over some of the features of the online course in the second video. And then again, this is the 3rd video about navigating Unit 1, Module 1. So if you just keep on scrolling down, there's the syllabus, which is actually also located up here on the drop-down bar, or not the drop-down bar, but the left-hand bar where you can kind of choose what you want. If you check on here, there's syllabus, there's announcements, modules. So you can go to the modules either way. They're located on the home page here at the bottom. You scroll down again so you can see. Bam, right here. Or you can go, and this is for weeks 1 and 2. So remember, the way that this course works is we start off with discussions in response to the short stories, and so you're going to be reading and responding on the discussion boards. You'll be responsible to do a journal log, and the directions for that are under the assignments, under journal log. It will tell you exactly what I'm asking you to do, and will provide you with examples for the journal. You'll have a quiz in the unit that we're doing, which is short stories, based on this document here. What are short stories? Introduction, the concepts and terms. And then the last thing you'll do in the unit is you'll create something in writing. So a project or an essay or some kind of culmination of your learning, okay? So that's always how it's going to work. So we're starting with discussions. So again, you can either click here. This is the module link. Or you can go back up here where I showed you before where it says modules. But it's the same location. It's just different ways to get there. So again, here is Unit 1. This is everything that's in Unit 1. So I'll scroll down so you can see. There are 6 discussions, a quiz on short story, which I actually need to fix because it says story, English class, revision, and then after the quiz is the project. So if you're the kind of person that likes to kind of know what's coming up, then you're going to want to click on all the links and check out the assignments. Otherwise, you can be spontaneous and just wait for things as they come. Again, it's totally up to you. I'm just going to fix that link. Okay, so now that link is, or not the link, I edited it so it says short story instead of story. So I'm going back to modules. You can always use your back arrow. You can't see mine because the screen's not on there, but next to this refresher is the back arrow. You can always go back on Canvas, or you can click on the links here. So again, I'm on Unit 1, Module 1. This runs for the next 2 weeks. This is everything you're doing for the next 2 weeks. So several of you have already started on the discussions 1 and 2. Each discussion is its own little universe where you'll kind of follow directions. You'll read something and then you'll do a response. Then you have your journal log. If you click on that, it will give you directions, your quiz, and then your essay. Again, these are the first 2 weeks. So we'll start from the very beginning. Oops, sorry. It's my phone. Okay. Harry Potter, in case you were wondering. Okay, so back here, again, this is in chronological order of how I set it up. I'm not actually expecting you to go in that order if it doesn't work for you, but it is the order that I made it intentionally, because you're scaffolding, you're building on your knowledge. Sometimes when we get like anxious or excited or we have lots of energy, you might find it difficult to go straight or linear, and so that's fine too. You can kind of cruise around, check things out. The key with the energy is to follow wherever your energy wants to go, and that doesn't mean that if you want to take a bubble bath you should be doing your discussion. What it means is give yourself a chance to explore the different areas and then click on the one, or go to the one where your energy is the most excited. right? Because sometimes it's about motivating ourselves to get the work done, not just motivating ourselves to get the work done, but motivating ourselves to feel engaged and to stick with it. You know, sometimes that can be difficult too. So again, the key is just showing up and then seeing what arises. We don't know what's going to happen because we're making meaning together in these discussions. So again, the first place you're going to go after you click on modules here is you're going to go to week 1. Week 1, discussion 1. And so week 1, discussion 1 is all about inductive and deductive reasoning. These are the different ways that we come to understand truth and we come closer to reasoning, right? Understanding whether or not something is logical and makes sense and is supported. So 2 different ways. So what you're doing on this discussion is you're going to follow the directions. Typically the discussions go in this order. It's read something, post something, and then read and respond to other classmates. That's typically how the discussions are going to go. If you're not sure about what I'm asking you to do on the discussions, like you look at these directions but you're still kind of not sure what my expectations are, then I'm just going to remind you, go back to the syllabus here. Again, it's also on the home page, but I'm just clicking on the link. You're going to click on syllabus, it will pop up, and then you can kind of pop open the syllabus just as a refresher, as a reminder. I don't expect you to know all this right when you start because we're forming a community and the community rules together based on the syllabus, based on our interaction, and then most importantly based on what's working for you and what's not working. So again, you're going to scroll down on the syllabus to page 2. Page 2 talks about online discussions here. Okay, so remember, these are your tasks, right? And then those of you that were confused about the journal, remember, this might be your first time doing an online journal, and so you can go here and kind of look at the journal. It's just a little Word document for each unit. I can go over that a little bit more either later in this video or in another video because I'm only allowed 15 minutes on screencast with YouTube, so I can only make 15-minute videos. So again, I'm going to go back, click out of the syllabus, and go back to module 1, unit 1. This is currently the only module that's open. It's open for the next 2 weeks. And so it should keep you plenty busy between the discussions and the journal logs and the quizzes. Okay, so again, I'm going back to week 1, discussion 1. All of the discussions will lock on June, for this week, we'll lock on June 23rd, which is Saturday. So these first 3 discussions are the ones you want to do first as far as due dates are concerned. So I'm clicking back. Again, for this particular discussion, you're going to click on the link for inductive and deductive reasoning, which is, I think, one of the most useful websites I've seen for inductive and deductive reasoning, explaining what they are, giving you really cool graphics here. Remember, deductive reasoning is going from a general idea to a very specific case, and then inductive goes the opposite way, a special case to a general principle. So really the purpose of this discussion is just to kind of look and listen and formulate ideas about how we create truth, how we use reason to understand argumentation. And then you have lots of really great examples here. And then you have 2 videos. One is on inductive reasoning. It's just a couple minutes long, both YouTube links. And then the second one is the opposite, right? So it's deductive reasoning. And so what you're being asked to do for this particular discussion is you're being asked to read over the website, watch the 2 videos, and then you're going to post something interesting to share, a line or chunk of information from the website that you found thought-provoking and what you think. Okay, so typically the discussion posts, I'm going to ask you to post 1 solid paragraph where you're developing your ideas in 5 to 7 sentences. So when I say 1 paragraph, that's what I'm looking for. And so here we have a really great example of one, and then me responding to it here. So again, you're looking at something, you're pulling out a chunk that you find really useful. So that's the first discussion. And then you're, after you've posted, you want to make sure you read over other classmates' posts and respond to at least one classmate in at least 5 to 7 sentences. So I put this on the syllabus. It's really important that you respond thoughtfully. So pretend like that person's sitting with you and you're talking to that person. That way you're making meaning together. You don't want to just write, I agree, I completely agree, you're so smart. Even though you can write those things, but you want to explain why. What do you agree with? And then add to the conversation, develop it with something thoughtful so that they can read your response and they can glean something important from it as well. So remember, the discussion, we want to make it be like an actual face-to-face discussion, which I know is tricky because we have only writing, but that's why it's so fun. You'll find that at the end of this 6 weeks, you're a stronger writer just because of the writing practice you've engaged in. Writing practice is the #1 way to become a strong writer just doing it. Okay, so again, I'm going back to modules just to give you a sense. I'm at about 10 minutes for this video, so I have about 5 minutes left for an introductory video of Module 1, Unit 1. The discussions all work the same, like I mentioned. I can make more videos of the other discussions. I'll do discussion 2 since we're here right now. Okay, so discussion 2 is beginning with the question, what is story? This is the foundation for our unit, and so what I did was, rather than have you buy this entire book, this is a whole book, right? There's no way we're going to read this on top of all the other stuff that we're reading, but it's a really great book. It actually is connected with the Seagull It's the Seagull Handbook. It's the Seagull Reader. So typically you would have this one just for short stories in an 18-week course, but that's really not doable in a 6-week course. So what I've done is I've photocopied the introductory material for you, and that's what this is here, the link. So you're going to click on it. This document, like I said, is foundational for our unit. It's super important because it has all the concepts and terms. Havan, for his journal, he ended up journaling the concepts and terms just for practice, which is a really great thing for you to do. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to click on the link. The link is the PDF for this particular unit, the one that I made for you guys. And once you click on it, it will pop up. I suggested in the questions conversation, the questions discussion, that you print this out and that you go over. If you skim over it, you'll see there are many concepts that are in bold. Those are the ones that are going to be on the quiz. So not all of them, because there's quite a few of them, but most of them are going to be on the quiz. So if you have this document in hand and you've highlighted the concepts and you have a bit of a sense of what these concepts mean, you will do fine on the quiz. It's 50 points, and there's about, I think, 40 questions on the quiz. So it's just review. It's more of a review than like asking you to memorize information. You can just use your handout. You can sit with the classmate in the LRC if you're more comfortable taking the quiz that way. But again, you're going to go over concepts. I took the wording from this document here, and I used the exact wording when I made the quiz. So I didn't change it up, and it shouldn't be confusing for you. When I'm looking at, for example, third-person narrator, I'm using the exact language from this document. So the first part of this document is information on short story, and then the last there are 3 stories in the last part of this document, and those are 3 of the stories we're reading for the short story unit. So I'm just going to scroll down so I can show you. The first story is the story of an hour, which you will discuss in another discussion. So let me go back to the unit. So just for this particular discussion, to wrap up with this one before I run out of time, is after you've read over what are stories, you're going to hop on the discussion board, post your thoughts, choosing one quote, what it taught you and why you picked it, and then you'll read and respond to someone else. This is information that you already know. You guys are masters of story, whether it's your grandmother telling you a story or you going to the movies to see Infinity War or Black Panther, which I saw, by the way, super good. Right, so story is story. It's about characters. It's about theme. It's about setting. It's about relationships between characters, right? It's about, you know, something happens to the protagonist or the main character, and there's this obstacle that's gotten in his or her way, and he or she has to find a way through it, right? It's The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell. All stories have those elements, and so you know this stuff. Now you're just looking at it very consciously, and then you're going to look at it in the stories that we read. So again, that is discussion 2. Let's see, I've got a couple more minutes. I'm just going to click back on Module 1 and go back to the last discussion for this week, which is discussion 3, and that leads us to The Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. So page 14 of the document, which is where I left off when I was actually on the document here, that is Kate Chopin. So if you're navigating through the pages, they're up here on the top. So the document has separate pages from the actual PDF form. So here is The Story of an Hour. It's super short. You get a little bit of background on Kate Chopin, which starts here. I put X's on some of the page so you wouldn't get confused. But again, you're reading Story of an Hour. Let me click back to the discussion. You can even listen to it. I found it on YouTube. It's kind of cool to get that experience of listening to it. And then what I added a link for you to check out. The story originally published in Vogue magazine, which all of us probably are familiar with Vogue magazine. And I thought that was an interesting history of the story itself. So for this discussion, you're going to choose one of these questions and answer it in a solid paragraph. So that's the last discussion, and then you're going to respond to someone else. I just wanted to overview that for you. I'll make another video that goes over week 2. So this is particularly week 1. So I hope you find it useful.